What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. So today I want to talk to you about Lucid. So I've already done a dedicated video all about the good, the bad, and the ugly from their Q1 earnings under my other channel, Financial Journey. But this video is going to be solely based on the data points and what it's saying. So I'm going to go over all the things that you need to know. But first, make sure you hit that thumbs up. And with that, let's get right to it. So starting off, it is down 12.95%, 23.1 million shares being traded, 22.13 is the average. So fairly good amount of volume, but if you do look at this, only 3 transactions above $100,000 have occurred. So big money isn't necessarily buying the dip, if that makes sense, and majority of the volume is linked to algorithmic trading. So once again, not necessarily the best, but one key takeaway from their earnings was there isn't really any catalyst up until the tail end of 2024 when the gravity reservations open up and production starts. So obviously institutions will probably just be waiting for that. Leading up to their earnings though, you did have a lot of buying happening. So as of yesterday and even technically Thursday and Friday and prior to that. So maybe big money, like I said, is just going to be rebalancing. I'm not really sure, but there wasn't any official news, no SEC filings since their earnings. There was this that did come out recently. So Peter did do a quick interview, so I'll play that near the tail end of the video. But aside from that though, shorts are increasing a small amount, so I would have anticipated them to increase a lot more. But then again, looking right here, shorts are kind of running out of ammunition. Only 250,000 shares is available to be shorted right now. Shorts are increasing 154.57 thousand shares, 30.97% of the free float is being shorted, 268.61 million shares overall are being shorted. Cost of borrow average is a little bit lower in comparison to yesterday. So yesterday it was at 253. Now it is at 230%. Still relatively high if you kind of think about that, but beside the point, utilization is at 100%. Looking at options. Options are kind of, it looks bullish. So 49% of all the options being done are bullish and positive, but factoring in shorts are increasing. A lot of that probably is just hedging. 655,000 in calls, 986 in puts. So dollar value wise, this is a little bit lower than what I would have anticipated. And of the call options that are being purchased, you see a consensus for it to be above, looks like about 250 for the end of this week. So between 250 and 3, so kind of where it's at right now. And then looking at puts, it is anticipated for it to be sub roughly between 250 and 2. So in all honesty, pretty much kind of there's more downside anticipated than upside, regrettably. A lot of transactions are a little bit more than the secondary market. So these are transactions being done on the dark pool. Dark pool is linked to shorting and just larger institutions. So big money isn't really buying the dip, if that does make sense. And just to quickly go over to Interactive Brokers. So you do have only 2 ratings coming out so far. Chris Pierce, Needham, so he does have a 34% success rating. Didn't give a price target, but gave a, or I guess reiterated the hold rating. He's the one that was really going after Gagnon, so very aggressive with his answers. He wasn't really happy with what Gagnon was saying. Then aside from that, 𝗖𝗢𝗡𝗘𝗖𝗧, Stefan, who has a 42% success rating, gave a $4 price target. So I think that's relatively good considering we're at 265 and change right now. So that's kind of some updates, but keep in mind there was a lot of analysts that did join yesterday. So these are all the, or I guess this is the transcripts. So you had about 6 that joined. So Bank of America, Citi, Cantor Fitzgerald, Redburn, Fox, and Stifel. So Stifel did give a rating. Probably Adam Jonas is going to show up with a very bearish rating. We'll just have to wait and see. Prior to that, I think his was around $4 if I remember correctly. So looking at Morgan Stanley, was done last month, $3 price target, so close enough. But we'll see if he comes in or if he's even looking at Lucid anymore. I know his priority is Rivian and Tesla, but still we'll have to wait and see what does come out. But getting right back down to the technicals. So the technicals right now with it at 266, it is recovering slightly and still within this pivot to this R1. So 258 definitely did hold, so that general area. Aside from that, $2.82 is going to be the next strong resistance, which I don't don't anticipate it being touched today. Well, it kind of bounced off of that, but that was during the downtrend. But as far as here on out, I don't anticipate this being touched unless it's going to be for the remainder part of the week. So let me know your thoughts on Lucid. On the actual chart itself, still higher percentile of the Bollinger Band. You do see it considered still overbought at 85. You also do see a bearish deviation, so red line above the white as well. Number of retail investors have been getting out over this last little bit. So not necessarily the best, but given the earnings was somewhat neutral, I guess it's kind of anticipated. So let me know your thoughts. One thing that I just wanted to point out is kind of comical because it's always difficult for Lucid to get above that damn 50-day moving average. It lasted a good 2 days, and then obviously their earnings, so it still once again is below that 50-day moving average. So that'll be another very strong target for Lucid to get over. So once again, let me know your thoughts on that. So quickly play this video. So it's a couple of minutes long, but still I believe this was done right after their earnings call, based on 19 hours ago roughly, or it might have been right before. But beside the point, let me know your thoughts. Give yourself a shout out if you did buy, if you sold. What have you been doing with Lucid?
Thank you, John. Peter, let's get right to that question. A wider than expected loss. And I think a lot of people are looking at this and they're saying, you know, at what point can investors feel confident that you have bottomed and are starting to build on your operations?
Well, I think our finances are actually dominated by our investments, our long-term investments. And what really differentiates us here is this special relationship we have with the Public Investment Fund of Saudi Arabia. We're both in this for the long term. This is a long-term play, Phil. We are a cornerstone of their Vision 2030, which will transition their economy away from fossil fuels. Lucid is an absolute central element of that long-term vision.
That said, Peter, you know that everybody wants to see an improvement in your production and your deliveries. You reaffirmed building 9,000 vehicles this year. Do you believe that you're going to be able to hit that, and then B, you can grow from there?
Absolutely. I'm very confident. We just came off a record first quarter, and we are seeing nearly 40% quarter on quarter and 37% year on year improvement in our deliveries. In a market where we're overtaking some key competitors, we're seeing that in that marketplace, despite reducing their prices very significantly, the sales of Tesla Model S have reduced dramatically. Ours have gone up 40% as years damn it.
One thing I just wanted to point out, this is the very first earnings, I think, round of applause. I don't know if, I have no idea why, but he mentioned Tesla throughout the earnings, and now he's mentioning Tesla in the past. He's always said the next best competitor. So kind of interesting that they're actually using Tesla for the physical name.
With us on Overtime. So if these EV price wars continue, driven, as you mentioned, by Tesla and some of the Chinese players, do you think you have some degree of immunity? Is that your argument because of the quality of your product? At the higher end, you can still gain share, or at a certain point, do you have to over-deliver on the cost optimizations that you've been working on in order to continue to make the numbers you need?
That's a great question. You know, it's not immunity that we've got a special weapon, and that is our high technology. We're the leaders in EV technology, and that means that we can go further than anyone else can with less battery. And that's why we're able to offer the best car in the world behind me, the Lucid Air Pure rear-wheel drive, at just $69,900. Why can no one else do that? Because we can do that with just an 88 kilowatt-hour battery pack, and the battery pack dominates the cost of EV making. So please don't think of us slashing prices to offer the customer a superior, compelling offering. What we're doing is we're using our technology as a key enabler and differentiator, which uniquely enables Lucid to provide such a compelling EV offering.
So, Peter, it's Morgan. To put a fine point on it, then, does that mean that you don't feel you're going to have to take any more price cuts?
Well, never say never, but we haven't got anything planned at the moment. We said when we launched Lucid Air in this very studio back in 2020, the vision for the Air was to get it from $69,900. And I've honored that commitment that I made way back then. That was the long-term vision, to offer this car at that price. And no one else can do that because they haven't got the technology that Lucid's got.
Peter, it's Phil again. The Saudi investment fund made another $1 billion investment in the first quarter into Lucid. Do you think that's the last of the investments from the Saudi investment fund? They already own 60% of the company, or do you think there's a possibility of further investments?
Well, we're incredibly appreciative of that commitment that they've made. They've showed time and again, this is a very special relationship. But absolutely, we have a phase of growth and long-term investment in Lucid. This is a long-term play. But we will opportunistically, as a Silicon Valley tech company, look for opportunistic moments where we seek further investment.
So yeah, ultimately, I didn't like that last answer because I would have liked for him just to say, yeah, you know what, we are going to go with the PIF if they want. Like, just say that, because we already know that the PIF is kind of keeping Lucid afloat. So let me know your thoughts on that recent interview as well as their earnings. Don't forget to pop over to my other channel and just watch the video on the good, the bad, and the ugly. So with all that said, one final thing, take advantage of this promo. Simply sign up for a new account, throw $100 at it, and they give you 7 fractional shares of the 𝗪𝗧7. So kick-ass deal. Link in the description below and also the comments. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.